just notice the file that I opened just discussed with you all is just part of the overall I gave you. However, we talk about tourism industry, hospitality industry, and the leisure industry. They all have part of domestic and intersection that combine all together. You're going to have to move it backward. I think it's on the third or fourth. This chart is very important because it gives us the information on the recreations, travel, and hospitality industry on this regional, local side, as well as the interactions that we go in from leisures to travel industry, and about 20% of the leisure and travel are overlapped. Okay, and about 20% of local leisure and hospitality overlap. And the three-way interaction is always considered. So remember, this chart is very important. Now, just get to know every single activity, if we divide it to various portions, there are some portions that can contribute to tourism, whether it's domestically or internationally. From my perspective, is how we in Taiwan, how do we identify on each administrative section for the civil service or the government's employee to realize how their work is not only to his citizens, but actually affect the tourist and tourism industry. If we can identify, segment the portion out of it and combine to create a service agency that can create a one-stop service for the visitor, that will make our tourism a much better industry internationally and be more competitive. This is something we in the academia is trying to broadcast or trying to influence the government or the administrations. This is something important, is we have to combine because everything is related to. Okay, just think about that. You are majored, most of you are majors in ocean transportation or international trade or maritime. What are your majors? Majority. I don't know the name, English name of your majors. What are your majors? Shipping and transportation management. Okay. Shipping and transportation management, that is, we're related to cross-boundary, cross-region, right? So this is important. Just think about when your item goes to the port, get onto the container. Is that part of the hospitality or just the transportation department in charge? Yes, indeed. Majority of them is by the transportation department in charge. But also, a lot of the content is actually related to the tourism and hospitality. Or even let's go to another words. Okay, like Pier 2. Okay, Pier 2 port. Pier 2 ports, it is a hospitality area, but it also has a yard, right? The yard, who is in charge of the yard? The ocean administration. Okay. Who's in charge of the restaurant, the service, the souvenir shop? the Economic Development Bureau. And we all consider that as tourism. So this is one of the issue that I always trying to create to call attention is, can we get to a one-stop shopping for the administrations for everybody, that we only do one thing in one bureaus, one agency that control everything, that can help us handle everything. This is something we see that in 3 different regions. Actually, there is a food safety and sanitized health department, all actually involved. Okay. What we talk about 6th grade or 6th levels industry, what are the things that actually contribute to the economy? Direct contribution from travel industry, accommodations, lodging, food service, transportation, entertainments, and the industries, accommodation services, food and beverage industry, and how they spend it. They live, they stay in the hotel, the tourists stay in the hotel, they eat in the restaurant, they shop at the souvenir shops, they pay the ticket to the theme park, they do all this shopping. And indirectly, to support as part of the supply chain for the direct impact industry, including service at the first level, agricultural, forestry, fishing, and fishery, and all other departments that contribute directly to the customer, and also including other contributions. So this is what we call the ripple effect. Actually, every dollar spent from the tourist, every dollar spent, because of the value has been added to it, it creates to $7 to $8 to contribute because of the indirect and the sources related to the tourism industry. So actually, every dollar spent by the tourist, it creates $7 to $8 ripple effect to the local economy. And remember, those money are from out of this place. In economy, we have macro economy and micro economy, right? If you spend something in Kaohsiung, it's a wealth redistribution. Because my money is in Kaohsiung. I buy something from any of the shop, or I eat in one of the restaurants across the street, is Kaohsiung's money from my ownership to the restaurant's ownership, right? But when a tourist from Taipei, he comes in, he has to eat, right? So when he eats, he earns money in Taipei, but he spent money to Kaohsiung. So he added to Kaohsiung's economy. Now we're talking about international, but within Taiwan, within the island, that is why domestic travel does not generate much wealth, because it is the redistribution of the money within the island. However, I have to appreciate Hannah and Tracy, because when you come in, you bring in money from Vietnam, your parents made, not generated in Taiwan. So you bring in new money comes in. This is what we call the export, right? When I was in graduate school, one of my professors we have about 40 international students in the MBA class. And our professor saluted to us and he said, "Thank you for contributing a minimum of $400,000 to the local economy a year." Because every year, tuition fee and the support. Now it's more than $10,000 per year. It's about $20,000 to $30,000 a year. And we bring in money, hard-earned money in Taiwan, bring to the United States to spend. Right? So it's the wealth transfer from Taiwan to the United States. So that's export. So when American United States is complaining about, oh, you're buying so cheap, labors and everything. When I introduced myself in the United States, that was back to 1980s. I tell them, hey guys, just look at your shirts, your belts, your pants, and your shoes. Look at where it's made. MIT, made in Taiwan. But now, we go in there and say, hey guys, you guys can look at what your shirts, your sweaters, a beautiful sweater, beautiful jacket. You know where it's made? Looking at it, MIV, made in Vietnam. Right? In 1980s, I tell them your shoes. In 1990s, I got it. All your computers, look at it, it's all made in Taiwan. So, this is why when the international tourism industry is declining or the country is shut down by the COVID, the service industry is complaining. One of the reasons for that is first, it is the relatively low threshold for anybody to get into hospitality service, being a service provider, being an entrepreneur. How much it will cost to generate a wafer, electronic wafer or chips manufacturing plant? We're talking about billions. How much it will cost to open a food stand right in front of your gate at the university? We're talking about $20,000. And I become an entrepreneur. I can support myself. That makes the difference. So when the service industry or the hospitality industry is suffering due to the close of the boundary of the national board, we are shutting down those people's job opportunity. Yes, their monthly or hourly salary is not very high, but they create most jobs for these people who does not have the capital, and some of them might not have very high skill. Some of them just like me are old. We don't have any other opportunities. Just like I'm about to retire. I'm planning on retiring to open a dumpling shop. That's easy to get in, right? So this is something we need to think about. Yes, no, it only tourism industry accounts for, in Taiwan, accounts for its GDP, I think it's about 4.5%. Let's take a look. This is latest statistics here. Okay, this is the spending in 2019 and 2020. Okay, the spending from domestic tourism and international spending. Okay, so total is about $36 billion US dollar. And in 2019, when the door was not shut down to China, and so we still have a lot of inbound. That was, I think that was the year we hit 1 million inbound tourists. To 2020, down 17 to 11. International from 18 to 2 billion. See how much it gets? Down 90%. Okay? Leisure business is the same. The departure, the outbound departures, the inbound arrival in 2019 is China, about 23%. Because of the doors shut, is now down to 9%. So these are the data that we need to look for and figure out what happened. Outbound departures, we always like to go to Japan. We love to go to China, not much change. Korea, okay? Or Vietnam become popular because at the time Vietnam was open to Taiwanese traveler, okay? I have a very good time in Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh City last time I went to visit the Lotus University. You graduate from there? Wonderful university. It's an excellent university. You know. We have an exchange student, exchange to there. So I went visit her. Okay. The global tourism accounts for 10% of the global GDP. It accounts more, especially in the European country and some of the developing and underdeveloped country, because it requires less capital to get in. It requires less skill and knowledge to get in. This is the way how we change the rural area, how we change the countryside to make them and support themselves. I have a few Vietnamese graduate students, wonderful students, doing research on Vietnamese agricultural business, agribusiness in rural area, and how the tourists actually change the economy. Okay. And in the private sector, it accounts for 10% of the employment rate. So it is very important. But I have to admit, they are not the highest income jobs. However, that provide enough income for those people to support their families. It accounts for 6% of the global export. Now, I explained the export a while ago when Anna's and Tracy bringing money from Vietnam to Taiwan, we're actually exporting about $20,000 knowledge to your country, right? So everybody come here for what? You use $480 in exchange. My sharing. This is service industry. It's intangible. I don't guarantee next time you come in, I will say the same speech. I will give you the same material because in service industry, it's human business, it's human industry. So a lot of time, I might forget. You will have a different experience. Or I might just have a wreck in the morning, so I'm not upset. So your variation, you will change. Service industry is one of the most exciting industry because it changes all the time. Okay? And it is account for 30% of global service exports. What are the service exports? Banking, law. Okay? Some of the now we call it cultural creativity, like video, films, all this is considered service export. Okay, now we see that most of the area Indirect area contribute to the GDP in the higher area are mostly more developed area because we can create, or less developed area, like this is Mexico, in some lower developed country, because their manufacturing, they are based on first level industry, exporting raw material, no value added, and agricultural. But for the most developed country, like Taiwan or Japan, and now Vietnam and Indonesia, have a lot of export products to go. It depends on the developing level of the country that actually contribute to the tourism industry contribute to it. This is economic impact that will happen in 2018. The forecast has been changed, and I have to apologize, I haven't updated because I couldn't find the real data yet. The forecast has been changed. One of the reasons is because of the COVID. So COVID is a game changer. It's a game changer. It's a turning point in history. Okay. Okay. In tourism, Northeast Asia is high. But in certain area, it's very low contribution. In Taiwan, we hope, but it has been changed because there are two issues. First, COVID is one. Secondary, because of the relationship with China, which is changing. The contribution of the GDP, direct contribution and indirect contribution and induced. That shows in different levels, we see the percentage change. Direct contributions in GDP is about 16%, didn't change a whole lot. But indirect and induced, what we mean indirect, direct is direct service. Travel, bus, hotel, indirect, the supply chain to the service provider. Induce, that related to, that contribute to indirect and direct. And actually, this is how a lot of employees support their families, a lot of citizens. So we look at the value chains. Let's think about when a tourist goes through. This is too much words, so you can read it. The value chain including production, transformation and marketing is what we call value-added process to the final sales. From raw material, a wood become a carving, a metal become a camera. That's transformation. When we say transformation, sometimes it's hard to understand. Value-added. Because of the transformation, we added human value, we added time value, we added phone value, different value to it, up to the final sales. So this is the value chain. It is very important, so we have to think about when we see a simple product, what is the value chain of it? In terms of tourism, what we're looking at, just like, I want to go out somewhere. Most people will do. What will you do? Get online, start searching, right? Hey, by the way, I have to do a little bit of advertising. We're gonna have a competition for the students in college in Kaohsiung and the students outside Kaohsiung, the Kaohsiung residents that stay in Kaohsiung but get out Kaohsiung to study or work, to come back to Zuoyin to a backpackers experience contest. Okay, remember I will send you the poster and the regulation because we get just given additional funding from the tourism bureaus. I'm trying to figure out how to get the money in so we can get finalized. It was starting in December and up to April. So you can go to join and take some pictures and start in plan a route and where to eat, where to do. I'll show you later. I'll show you in the future. Next week. We still have 1 week, right? Yes. Next week I'll show you the completion, and every one of you are welcome to participate in the contest, especially international students. I'm gonna get an English version, have international students come in. So we do the planning, and how we do the planning, we talk about, hey, let's do the graduation trip, okay? Or in occasions, we're gonna have a long weekend. Let's go to Canteen. Starting planning, where do we want to stay in Canteen and everything, all the way up. This is what we call a tourist audit. Tourist audit. Okay. Looks simple, but very complicated. Actually, there are a lot of mental process to get a good trip. Even with spontaneous trip, it still takes a lot of mental process to it. Because we have to figure out, okay, when to start, what to dress, what kind of weathers, what kind of transportation, where to eat, where to look, how we're gonna pose on a selfie, all these kind of things. A lot of things going on. Okay, so it started with travel. We can organize. We can go to a travel agency to book a trip. But nowadays, especially for you youngsters, you can book your own trip. I decided to go, so we started looking at. We did a trip to London 2 years ago. So it's our secretary started planning and contact with an international student from Taiwan working on his PhD in London. So he planned a trip for us to take to the Big Bang Bells, to different London towers, different area. And one of the most exciting things is go to the brewery, a local brewery. Oh, that was fun, a lot of fun. So you guys can, your interest, your experience is for you to design, instead of hand it to somebody else to design for you. You have the tool, the knowledge, the skill to do everything. So this is something starting looking at the planning stage. We use cell phone, we use TV, we use advertising, different kind of things. And we look for a travel agency because we still have to book. No, we don't need to book airline tickets through travel agency anymore. We just get on lowprice.com or price.com and book. Or go to Airbnb, they have a tool for you. So we started working, we get on there, start working, we get to the airport, we get on board, and transportation, everything. And then we get into, this is one thing interesting. Accommodation. Once you arrive at Kaohsiung, how easy, how convenient for you to get to your accommodation area, go to your hotel. Secondary, get to your destination. Public transportation, what do you call that? The M-bike, I-bike. The other day we talked about what if we change all our bike to electricity assisted bike? Would that be okay?
It's really
Powered.
It's really expensive.
Very expensive. Hey, we don't have to pay for it. The government pay for it. I talked to our city council. She said, hey, what about let's find some find some attraction area. Around the attraction area, we change all the bike to power-added bike. That will make people want to rent. That will make transportation easier. And no, but in a way, the less exercise, though.
The original purpose of using e-bike is for everyone to exercise because they have to just ride a bike.
Mm-hmm.
But if we change to the electric bike, so we have to deal with the batteries problems after using it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge environmental
Mm-hmm.
problem.
But for the youngsters, for you guys, you just ride it okay. For me, I can ride for about 5 minutes. So what would I do? I get a taxi or get a car that pollute the air. So no, we can separate it. Some people want to do the exercise, they can ride a U-bike. Some people like me, I want to do a little exercise, but mostly for them to take me to it and still enjoy it. That might be a good idea. Or actually in Japan, it does have different level of self-shared transportation. Food and beverage, okay? And souvenirs. One of the major complaint I have is every souvenirs in Kaohsiung are something to eat. There's no tangible, unique souvenirs item that I can bring in and share with my friend. Hey, this is what I get from Kaohsiung. Everybody knows. So, because of this, I decided in our department we bought 2 laser carving machines for our students to design your own souvenirs and take it home. Every student graduate have to design their own experience in NKUSD and take it home and write down the year. So we're planning with, I just got 2 machines, so we started learning it. Well, it's a lot of fun. It's part of the interdisciplinary learning because hospitality students are not supposed to do the design, we do service.
It will be a really interesting and I know way to introduce or to marketing about our school.
Well, that's part of the marketing stream. See, when you have your own souvenirs, hey, this is me, I made it. I made it at NKUSD. You can get it if you want to. Come to NKUSD, right? So, now people will love the item they make. So I think every destination should have something. No, in Hong Kong, you go to the Port Victoria, now I always have something. You want to take a picture for $10. Okay, or you go through the roller coaster, after you finish, you want to take a picture for $10, right? Or in Disney World, when you go down, go up, and when you get down, I take a pair of snack shop. Do you want to buy your snack shop for $10? Hey, that's extra profit. Why not? In addition to that, it gave the tourists something to show off. I went there, I did this, been there, done that. When we go to a tour, when we do the travel, we're hungry. We're looking for something that interests me. We're looking for somewhere to spend money. But this money I have to spend with unique experience. One, for me. Secondary, to remind me. So everybody go to Disney World. Andy, I remember you said you went to Disney World. Did you buy any souvenir? Andy? Did you buy any souvenirs when 10 years ago when you go to the Disney World? You didn't get the Mickey Mouse hat?
No.
Oh, shame on you. Okay, so souvenirs is very important so we can share. Okay? And now there's some assets. So this is important for us, for the economy. However, a good destination requires the cooperation of government, private sectors, and citizens. 3, all together. It becomes a market, it becomes a city market, it becomes a brand for the city. The government put on the infrastructure that make the city attractable, easy to travel. Okay, the private sectors work on the things that will invite people to the private sector. If we have time, next time we show you how the Las Vegas do their things. Okay, this is the value chain. Now globally, this is the audit. I'm not going to go through too much about value chain. We go through this. Now, tourism has changed. We always use technology. Think about it. When a human being, early in about 15,000 years ago, create a wheel, something's wrong. We can put things on it and start moving. That's technology. Right? And when people carving a wood, a trunk, into a canoe, so we can go distance without having to put too much effort, that's technology. When the locomotive, when the train was invented, all of a sudden, instead of going by hand or by wheel that powered by the animal, we have engine that can take us hundreds of thousands of miles. And then when the airplane started taking us, we can fly through the ocean. The world becomes smaller. All this are technology that actually affect the tourism, affect the travel. But now it's more important, the turning point on the internet. Why is metaverse important? Because if we get to the emergent experience into the metaverse, we put on the goggle. All of a sudden, all our sense is living the real world. I put on a goggle to Paris. I can feel the Paris, right? So all these are important. Why this metaverse is so exciting? So let's take a look. Technology that has changed, starting from the product. Traditionally, we have to do the advertising, but not anymore. We're using the advertising on electronic, or we can target our advertising to individual through the big data, through the email, or through the sensor of your cell phone when you go by. Technology has changed. Starting from traditional, I've been there everywhere. I still remember the first time I booked my airline ticket. I have to go to the travel agency. I have to get there. I have to get my ticket and keep my ticket for the month and blah, blah, blah. And then 10 years from then, I booked my airline tickets through the internet. It was real bad. The service was real bad because the concept hasn't started yet. The internet was real slow. I don't know whether you guys probably don't remember. When we use the internet, we have to have a phone with a modem. We hook the phone in there and start it loading. And how fast it is? Wow, it was real fast. About 1K per second. So you hit and start taking that. Okay, it's here. Okay. So that's where OTA started. But OTA now. Now, what's your patience on waiting your screen to change? How many milliseconds you can wait? I remember my first, I got my first computer in 1987. I was so excited. IBM AT with 512K memory and use an 8-inch floppy. And then I get my first hard drive, $400 US dollar for 20 megabytes. About as big as this. And I have to install it as big as my speaker. And I have to install it myself. I was so excited. I have a hard drive. Wow. So the product has changed. The products from far away to in our fingertip. The tool has changed much. Hasn't changed much because we still have used regular travel item, transportation item with a car, train, vessel, cruise, or airline. But the way of booking our transportation has changed. And through the travel, we started looking at different things. Instead of having to book in a hotel, now we can do Airbnb, right? We can do camping. We can do various things. And now, we compare the prices on internet. Technology has changed a lot and changed the industry a lot. And for us, from my perspective, last 5 minutes, forget about this. I'd like to share with you one thing. And I hope, because most of you are sophomores, so you still have 3 years in university. Back to 16th centuries, when the first university was established in Germany. At the time, knowledge is a privilege. Only monk and the royal family has the opportunity to acquire the knowledge. So, during the Renaissance, starting having library and starting putting the knowledge in one place, that's how the university was set up. So the university has 3 major functions. First, as a storehouse, as a warehouse of the knowledge. That's why only university have libraries. Library is a treasure house for knowledge, only located in royal family and the university. So people who want to learn something have to go to the library. Secondary, it creates knowledge. So university have a lot of scholars, they create knowledge and book it and store it, just like what we do in computer. We create something right now and store it in the hardware. And thirdly, it distributes knowledge. That's why we have pupils. That's why we have students, and students have to work. Every country have legends or fairy tales about people have to travel miles and miles to find a master to learn. That's the 3 traditional functions of learning. That's what I have learned when I was in college, when I was in graduate school. But internet has changed everything, especially with the search engine, such as Google or now Edge. He collects all the information for you. Even though in 1998 to 2007, we still have to get online, but we don't have to go to the library. And then comes out the smartphone. Nowadays, you as a student and me, supposedly a faculty member or teacher, we are equal. Why? Because knowledge is on your hand as well as on my hand. Look at the term, knowledge. Plug in, get to Google search. On your cell phone, you get all the information. Plug in a term, science, you get all the information. So the role of student and teacher has changed. If anything, I tell you just fact, where you can find on the Google, all this chart, I found it in Google, you can do it as much as I do. As good as I do, probably better and faster. So we have changed. We have to change our learning process. We have to change our learning mentality. Just as I said at the very beginning, students are not teachable. Students can be learnable. They are the learner. And I'm hoping, I don't know whether there's any faculty member that told you this, you are as powerful as I do in terms of getting the information. So use it. Be active. Use it. Before the faculty member tell you the fact. And you make the judgment. And evaluate. Every faculty members tell you the information, are they truth or not? Or why the same information I get, I explain in this way, and the faculty explain in another way. This is something I truly want to share with you from my heart. You are a wonderful student. This is a wonderful class. And I do believe you can be your own teacher. And I hope. We'll see you next week. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.